Do whatever you want, Eric. This is your product.
White card, but white strap. Let's not go too far. Hi guys, welcome back to Watch This TV. We're here in Geneva in the sunny M.A.D house today. Arnaud, thank you so much for welcoming us today.
Thanks for coming. Always a pleasure.
We're here to talk about the new M.A.D 2 Live and kind of frame where M.A.D is today in terms of, I mean, it initially was very much of a side project from Max and from the MB&F brand in order to allow people, suppliers and friends of the brands to afford or to purchase a watch that they could afford and was generally more inclusive. And it functioned as a raffle directly, no?
No, so at the very beginning we just created M.A.D edition with the M.A.D 1, the M.A.D 1 Blue that you've seen before. And it was initially just for, as you mentioned, friends, tribe members, so the MB&F collectors and family. And so what we did is we sent an email to all these people saying, okay guys, we've created something we find is cool. Here is a link, no obligation of course, if you want to buy it, feel free. If you don't, that's totally okay. And we never communicated about the brand, which wasn't really a brand at the beginning, with the M.A.D 1. So we sent that email, people starting to buy the piece. They started to talk about the piece, which we never again communicated about. And then everything went crazy. All the people out there discovered that piece, which, as you mentioned, was finally something they could afford. And they told us that, okay guys, come on, for once you make something we can afford, and you just reserve it to your friends, family and billionaire clients. So please find a way to make it available to all of us. And that's when the raffle came in.
All right.
So,
and then so this year you've got the M.A.D 2 Live, which is the second launch of the year, if I'm not mistaken, because you had a M.A.D Redemption, which was for anybody that had already signed up to the raffle and had never received one, then they were redeemed, as the name says, with the opportunity to buy this version, right?
Exactly. So M.A.D Edition basically is a project, a brand where we sit down around the table every couple of months and brainstorm and find new ideas. And after every launch, we basically talk to each other saying, okay, what went wrong, what went okay, what should we do now? And we've realized that with all these raffles, a lot of people became a bit angry, which wasn't the point of creating.
Frustration does do that.
Exactly. And after losing a couple of raffles, so in that case the redemption was for all the people that participated at least in 4 raffles and lost every single time, so without ever winning.
So proper frustration built up.
And so we basically looked in the system how many people would be in that situation and realized that, okay, maybe we can afford to make a special series just for these people, no raffle. And again, so we send them an email saying, okay guys, thank you so much for the continuous support. We are sorry that you were unlucky all these times. So we've decided to create a special piece just for you. Again, no obligation. If you want to buy it, here is the link. If you don't, that's totally okay. And as you mentioned, that was launched just before Watches and Wonders in March, I guess. And then this one, the M.A.D 2 Live, came in early May.
Yeah.
1st of May.
This one, I'm seeing a common theme with managing frustrations from audiences. So this is an answer to not having purchasable physical items in stores, correct?
Kind of, yeah. So last year with M.A.D Edition, again with one of those brainstorm, we decided to start going into fairs, into watch fairs, because M.A.D Edition is again a brand, a project that is exclusively online. So people never get to see the product because you basically see the product when we launch it, then you have 7 days of raffle, then we close the raffle, make the draw, and that's done.
And then you see it on all your friends when you haven't had it.
Exactly. But basically M.A.D Edition was leaving twice a year during 7 days, and that's it. And so last year we decided to go into fairs because people wanted to see the products, even if they couldn't buy it because it wasn't available. They wanted to just have a look at the watches.
Right.
And so we did a few events last year and realized that the people who were meeting during those fairs were true enthusiasts, real watch lovers. And we wanted to find a way to thank them for coming to the fairs, because every time they were coming to the booth, we were saying, sorry guys, we don't have anything for sale.
Right.
You can see the watch, but there is nothing for sale. And during one of those brainstorming, someone came up with the idea to say, okay, maybe we should do a special edition, which is exclusively for those fairs. And to get access to these M.A.D Life, you have to be on site physically to participate to a raffle again, but at least in a dedicated
it's
area.
physical.
Exactly.
Right.
So every piece has a special buckle engraved with the name of the city. So in that case, it's Bordeaux, because we went to Time Fest last weekend.
Yeah.
And so every time there are a few pieces allocated to the dedicated event, we make a raffle during the event. At the end of the event, we make the draw, just as usual, and then we start shipping the pieces.
It's interesting to see, because if I'm not mistaken, the price tag is quite inclusive, quite affordable at relatively affordable at 2,900 CHF.
Yeah.
So you're kind of maintaining an exclusivity by having it physical, and you can only get it if you're in person at the event at the right time.
Correct.
To hop on the train or miss it. But it's at a price point that is far from MB&F.
Exactly. So that was the point when we created the brand. As you said before, it was created for friends and family, because Max was again frustrated that all his friends, family, employees couldn't afford what we do. The price point with MB&F is 120,000 Swiss franc on average, and none of our friends can afford those watches. So we decided to create something which again wasn't a brand at the beginning. We just said, okay, we're gonna make one product, M.A.D 1, that's it, at a much lower price point, which is still a lot of money, but much more accessible. And to do so, we decided to use an existing caliber, industrial movement.
Yeah.
In that case, the La Joux-Perret G100. And then we basically built a case, a way to read the time, which is still very creative, very innovative, like MB&F. So it's built by the MB&F team, but under another name, under another brand called M.A.D Edition, just for people not to confuse and not to say, okay, that's an MB&F worth 2,000 Swiss franc. It's a different brand, different way of
you're not
creating.
diluting the brand by doing that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And somehow it's funny because it's even more complicated to create a M.A.D Edition than an MB&F somehow, because with MB&F you have no constraints. You just, you have a lot of technical constraints, but we never look at the price when we create. We just go crazy, we never look at the price, and then at the end, when we are 100% proud of the product, we say, okay, that's how much it costs, that's how much we should sell it for, and that's how we have the price point. With M.A.D Edition, we have this goal of always being, as you said, 2,900, so always below 3,000 Swiss franc, and creating a watch with that budget in mind, with that constraint in mind, is very different and sometimes more complex.
Yeah. Do you think that M.A.D feeds into future customers of MB&F, or do you see it as a completely separate ecosystem?
At the beginning, we kind of saw it as different ecosystem. Of course, we have a lot of MB&F collectors that are buying the M.A.D Edition, because the tribe members, so MB&F collectors, always have direct access to those M.A.D Editions without going through the raffle. But we didn't realize back then that M.A.D Edition would bring us a lot of interest as well on MB&F.
Yeah.
We knew that the brand awareness would serve MB&F, of course, but what we've realized, M.A.D Edition is turning 5 this year already, so it's starting to be
that's aging
now
us
a real brand, but it actually brought us a lot of MB&F collectors. So we've seen cases where people started with M.A.D Edition and then bought their first MB&F timepieces, which honestly we didn't really realize that was going to happen. So that was a good surprise. But it's true that with M.A.D edition, these are still very creative, very innovative and unusual watches. And when these collectors wear it, they have a lot of interaction with other people, and then they realize that it's actually very cool to wear something which is so unconventional. And then sometimes it conversion to MB&F timepieces, so that's good for us.
I mean, if you look back at Max's heritage in watchmaking and at the Opus, the MB&F, M.A.D, you can kind of see this red thread of watches that are highly recognizable, right? So my question now is, we're talking about a shift in artistic direction when it comes to M.A.D, to Giroux. Can you tell me a bit more about how this is happening and why that is?
So with M.A.D edition, the M.A.D one was designed by Max Busser, of course, because it was the first one. We started the project with him. The goal is to have kind of an edition house. So this is basically an edition coming out of the M.A.D gallery, so mechanical art devices, and we said, okay, the M.A.D one is the first edition created by this ecosystem. Internally now we talk about a M.A.D galaxy, which is kind of the big ecosystem that includes MB&F, M.A.D gallery, M.A.D edition, all of this. So the first one was with Max Busser. And then when we decided to create the M.A.D 2, we went quite naturally to Eric, because he's been designing MB&F watches since day one. The first 22 calibers that we created with MB&F were designed by Eric. And we wanted to give him this time a white card. So do whatever you want, Eric, this is your product.
White card, but white strap. Let's not go too far.
Exactly. No, but because MB&F timepieces is always Max ID, and then Eric goes on the design. With this one, he really could do whatever you wanted. So he was inspired by the music scene of the 90s, the clubs, those vinyl, the grooves that you see on a vinyl, the two turntables. So a lot of elements that inspired him into this direction. So the design was made by Eric. The development was made by our team here internally. So I mentioned the La Jouperet movement. We created a module as well for the jumping hour that you have on that piece. So you have this jumping hour on the left, trailing minutes on the right. And so this module is developed by our engineers, but the design is Eric Giroux 100%. Now, M.A.D 3, M.A.D 4 will not be designed by Eric Giroux. The idea is to be okay with having different designers from the watch industry, from other industries, but to have always different people coming in as the designers of the watches. So M.A.D 3 is someone, M.A.D 4 is someone else. Maybe at some point we will have the same person coming back. That's not an issue for us. But the idea is to have a platform for collaborations, to bring in different creators and to come out with cool M.A.D editions. Still
very in line with Max Busser universe.
Totally. That's, I mean, the collaborative spirit is at the core of MB&F. It stands in our name, Max Busser and Friends, and it's the same with M.A.D edition. Even though it's another brand, another name, it's still the same people behind it, and the spirit and the values are exactly the same. So.
You told me about the caliber and somewhat about the dial, but can we dive a little bit deeper in what makes this watch so special compared to the others?
Of course. So I mentioned the La Jouperet movement. I mentioned again the fact that we redeveloped, so create a new module for that caliber. What makes it so special, so the inspiration from Eric was to have this galet shaped watch with again these two turntables. So it was really inspired by the music world. Up, if you go onto the time, so you can have this jumping hour in both directions. So here you can see that the disc on the left is jumping every time this way and this way. What you see around the movement here is the winding rotor, which is as always with us, spinning like crazy. That's what we love. To make this spinning effect, we use caliber that features a unidirectional winding system. So on the very first M.A.D. one, when we launched the brand, we had to use a Miyota movement. That was the only movement at that price point that featured that unidirectional winding system. And then, in the meantime, while developing the M.A.D. 1S, you may remember this one, we switched to the La Jouperet to have a Swiss movement in the piece. And so the rotor, you see it from the top here, but you can see it, of course, here at the back with Eric Giroud's name. And the idea with M.A.D Edition is to always have, you know, with MB&F, we love anything that is kinetic, that is alive, that is mechanical. And so we wanted to have something, again, moving, spinning, which you have on the M.A.D. one, of course, with the big rotor on top of the watch. Here it's a bit more subtle, but that's what we love with that piece. It's a bit more discreet when you have it on the wrist, but then as soon as you wear it and you see that rotor spin, it just makes it cool and puts a smile on your face.
Yeah, and it brings you back to childhood, which is one of the core missions of the brand.
Creative adults, the child who survived. That's the motto, and mostly everything we create always goes into that line. And yes, so it's cool for us to be able to create MB&F timepieces, co-creation, M.A.D editions, all of these with the same goal and same wish to put a smile on people's face. And I think that Eric did a great work with this. And now with all those fairs, the M.A.D 2 Life, when we go onto the fairs, meet the fans, and we found a way finally to make it accessible to them as well. That's again a good way for us to make people smile.
Okay, so 13 cities and 30 watches per city?
Correct. Depending on the size of the event, it's more or less 30 pieces. We're doing smaller events in our MB&F labs, like we just did in Beverly Hills. But sometimes the event is much bigger. For instance, in San Francisco, Wind Up, we had 900 registrations for the raffle. So depending on the event, it's more or less 30 pieces. So Bordeaux was the last one that we did just a couple of days ago. And the next one is on June 13th in London. So if you guys want to try your luck,
get a chance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Go ahead. It's hands-on neurology in London. And then the next ones are Dubai, Geneva, Paris, Singapore, Taipei. I think we're doing one in Hong Kong as well. So a couple of cities. Until the end of the year, so you still have a chance to get it.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Arnaud. We'll see you in London, hopefully, and viva watchmaking.
Viva watchmaking.